Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Wonderful. My name is Bob Tarter. I'm with NHECM. If you remember me from last year, raise your hand, please. Good. We got some repeats. Excellent. Hands down. If you've ever seen me give a wildlife program, you know we'll have a wonderful time. You do not believe me? You can ask me. I'll tell you all about it. Whenever we have a wildlife program, though, it doesn't matter if there's 3 people or 1,000. Whenever we have a wildlife program, there are 3 rules I need you all to follow. Rule 1. You have to stay seated. You have to stay quiet. These animals that are with me, they're not pets. One of them thinks he is, but he's not. So rule 1, we have a wonderful auditorium here. I'd like your bottoms to stay all the way on your seat, your feet flat on the floor. If your feet can't touch the floor, that's fine. We just don't want to have kiki feet. Because kiki feet will make these animals think something you don't want to be a part of. More importantly, with the little hand rest, either put them up or put them down. I don't like people moving around with them. That's another thing that'll make you look like food. Now we have a good auditorium here, so let's make sure we treat it with respect. I see some of you have brought in some snacks and beverages. I want to make sure that all that refuge will walk out with you since it walked in with you. Let's try and keep our school nice and clean. Now, rule 1, stay seated, stay quiet. If you can see my hands, you'll see these animals. Do not worry, I drink a lot of tea. I'm going to be walking around the entire time. While I'm walking around with these animals in my hands, I cannot watch my feet. If you have your hand or your foot in the aisle and I step on it, it's not going to feel good. I'm a big fat guy. Rule 1, stay seated, stay quiet. Rule 2, you think there's anything interesting with me today? Yes, that's why we came out here tonight. That means you're going to have questions. Questions are great. Questions how we learn. Rule 2 states we save the questions for the end of the program. We go over them as a group. Rule 2 is everyone's favorite because Rule 2 is going to let you hang out longer with me. So save your questions. We will go over them at the end. Rule 3, I want to see how smart y'all are. I'll be asking you questions. And with my science club students here, it should be a cakewalk for you. So if you haven't answered one of my questions, I want you to raise your hand. We don't want to holler it out. We don't want to scare these animals. Now, 3 simple, easy rules. Stay seated, stay quiet, save your questions. If you haven't answered one of mine, you can raise your hand. Everyone who wants to stay here, see the animals and follow my 3 rules, raise your hand, please. Good. Hands down. Does anybody want to break the rules, make me upset and be told to leave? No, you don't want to do that. Son, you just volunteered yourself. Now, parents, grandparents, caregivers, thank you very much for bringing yourselves and your little ones here for our program. Please feel free to take as many pictures you like during my program, but this is now time to silence and vibrate your phone. Now, we're going to get started. This year's program, and you know we rotate them, is called Rainforest Life. We're going to talk about animals that are found in the rainforest. Now, as soon as I mention rainforest, you're conjuring up images of hot, tropical ecosystems. And that's true, that's where most of these animals came from. But that's not a true definition of a rainforest. The rainforest is defined by the amount of rainfall the area receives, and it's excessive. Now, we can actually have temperate rainforest. Washington State, Oregon State, that's a rainforest where we have snow. It all comes down to the amount of rainfall the area receives. Think about a desert. A desert is not always hot. It's dry. And what's going to be forward for that is, next year we're bringing you desert programming. Oh. Now we're going to get started with our first wildlife program today. This first animal is actually a substitution. My normal first programming exhibit isn't a very large animal, and I knew I was going to have a large audience tonight, a large room. More importantly, you're actually my 4th program for the day. So we brought in a substitute. It's got the same material, same information for it, but it is a wee bit bigger, so you'll be able to see more and understand more about it, and we will still review the same material from the other one. We're going to get out our first exhibit here today. This is the Pixie Frog. The Pixie Frog gets the name not because he's cute little. This frog is an adult, but he's not full grown. When this frog is full grown, he's as big as your head. This is the 2nd largest frog in the world. He gets the name Pixie from the genus for a scientific name. Turn your brains on, you have to learn or they won't have me back next year. Does a frog always look like a frog? No. Raise your hand. What does the frog start off as? Go. Wrong. That's the 2nd stage. What does it start off as? Go. An egg. The female lays the egg. Out hatches that immature larval version if a male will fertilize it. Now when you look at that tadpole, does the tadpole look anything like a frog? No. If you ask me, it looks and acts more like a fish than a frog. It breathes the water through gills. It has no limbs, it has a tail. And that tadpole will grow, will mature. It will absorb that tail, and you'll eventually move from living in the water to living on the land. Think about this, Science Club. Starting off as an egg, getting fertilized by the male, hatching in that immature larval version, the tadpole, to become the adult. What do we call this process? Raise your hand. Go.
Metamorphosis.
Very good. Almost everybody will give me life cycle. This animal has completed the process of metamorphosis. He has not completed his life cycle. Now the key, what we do with our frog here, we have to have one of our wonderful Science Club volunteers. I need you to kiss our frog and make him a princess. You've done it before? Stop kissing frogs. This frog here, half of the year, he lives in a part of Africa where there's all kinds of water, all kinds of bugs, all kinds of plants. He's very happy in that environment. The other half of the year, the water dries up, the plants go over, the bugs leave. Would a frog be very happy? No. So when an animal is faced by a season they do not like, there's one of two things they can do. What do we call it when you pick up from one location and you move someplace else? What do we call it when our animals move? Go. Very good. This frog is not going to migrate very far. Doesn't have wings that carry him thousands of miles. No long legs to run hundreds of miles. What do we call it when you sleep during the season you do not like? Go. Hibernation. That's where our frog here will use his strong, powerful hind legs, bury himself in the soil, 20, 30 feet deep. He buries himself in the soil, takes out a second layer of skin, and he covers himself up. The entire time that he's buried in the soil, it can be as short as 3 months, as long as 9 months. The entire time that he's buried in the soil, he doesn't go to the bathroom once. He holds it. But you hold it the entire school year. No, don't try that. You'll kill yourself. You'll fry your kidneys. The frog will be buried in the soil, second layer of skin, waiting for one important thing. He waits for it to rain. As soon as it rains, the water percolates all the way down to the soil, taps him on his head. He wakes up and does a very bullfrog thing. He eats the first thing that's in front of him. That skin that has been his hole, he eats it. And he climbs to the top of the soil, gets to the top of the ground. Anything that comes in front of him, if he can fit in his mouth, he eats it. You have your phone? Let's do a frog selfie. This frog here is already eating mice. Give me a little sugar. Now, what you gotta understand, this frog here will eat anything that comes in front of them, and these guys here, this one is already eating mice. Did you get it? Okay, got a little more to it. Now, and then those Pixie Frogs, I feed them medium-sized rats. They have 3 teeth on that bottom jaw they use to wrestle that prey inside. One day I had an adult with me. I gesticulated my finger in front of him. He thought my finger was food and he bit me. These animals here are going to be 4.5 to 5 pounds, but only the second largest frog in the world. The largest frog in the world is the Callie frog. Adult weight 8 pounds, roughly the size of my head. Anybody that thinks like me, second largest frog in the world, you got to be wondering, Bob, how good are the frog legs? I don't know, I can't tell you, because Pixie Frogs are mildly hallucinogenic. So y'all need to watch her for the rest of the night to make sure she doesn't get too crazy. The problem is, you cannot tell when a teacher is acting abnormal. They're all abnormal. Normal's just a dryer setting in your world, isn't it? Now, my normal first programming animal is actually the poison arrow frog. It's a very small but brightly colored frog. Second most toxic vertebrate on the planet. The reason why I didn't bring them is they're actually very sensitive. Now, it's a cool creature because the poison arrow frog is eating insects just like our frog. What do we call a consumer that eats only other animals? Meat eaters, good. What's my better word? Very good. Carnivore. Now the Pixie Frogs and the poison arrow frogs are eating bugs. Now they like to eat a lot of bugs that have small, minute parts of toxins in their body. Think of this. You ever grab one of those new ladybugs that have showed up at your house and try to sweep them up? You smell your hands, you get that little bit of an odor. A lot of insects will excrete a little bit of a fluid. And these carnivores here keep that fluid in their body. A microgram is 1,000th of a gram. A gram doesn't weigh very much. And it takes only 150 micrograms of the skin solution of a poison arrow frog to be fatal to our faculty members. Now, even though her heart rate's up a little bit, she's blushed a little bit, her cheeks are a little red, it's entitled psychosomatic pollution. She's fine. I've never let her kiss a poisonous frog. It's just funny to freak the teachers. Now, but you notice he didn't change into a prince, so she must not be a princess then. Keep kissing. Get on. Now, what we gotta understand is these poison arrow frogs are very helpful. These frogs here, poison arrow frogs, are very important because we use them in our everyday lives. How many of you have ever been put to sleep for certain frogs? Are amazing little creatures for us because they help us out. Amphibians are going to serve as a wonderful sight indicator, giving us a clue of the world around us. Now, can everybody still hear me all right? Good. Now, we're going to put up our herbivorous, or we're going to put up our carnivorous frog. We're going to get out the next exhibit. The next exhibit is a wee bit bigger, but it is also a different type of consumer. It's a consumer that eats only plant material. What do we call that? Go. Very good. Herbivore. Remember, vegetarian and vegans are confused people and stay away from that. Now, this animal here is an herbivore. So, this one should not have any problems, so you should be nice, calm, and quiet. Yeah. You're in the second row. He's got to kill everybody in the front row. You know it's only going to get worse. Do you realize that? Now, I'd like you all to meet Larry. Say hi, Larry. Hi, Larry. Mouth closed, ears open. Larry is a green iguana. The green iguana is an herbivorous lizard found in Central and South America. Now, everything in the wild has a job they're supposed to do. Ears open, new word, niche. Say it, please. Niche. You can look at an animal's anatomy and theorize their niche or their job. First thing for you to notice, Larry's eyes are on the sides of his head. That is giving him a larger field of view. That does also tell you that his food doesn't run away from him. Animals that have their eyes on the front of their head have to use depth perception to chase their prey. Now, the cool thing about Larry, is he is actually a very primitive lizard. He has eyes on the sides of his head, but what makes him unique is the iguana has a third eye on the top of his head. It is not an eyeball. It's a light-sensing organ right there at the top part of his head. Listen, buddy. What that's going to do is that will let Larry know when a predator flies over the top of him. Now, normally, when we stimulate that third eye on the top of the head, Larry will get very agitated. Don't try and bite my finger. But if you do it every day since September, he'll actually probably fall asleep here in a minute. Now, what you got to understand, Larry has that third eye on the top of his head because Larry is always going to be found living high in the trees because he has a different body than you. Do an experiment. 2 fingers, touch your skin. Is your skin warm or cold? Warm. I'm sweating already. Larry, is he warm or cold? He's cold. Got good circulation. Larry here is a cold-blooded animal. He's only going to be as warm as the environment around him allows. The warmer he is, the faster he can move, the more food he's going to eat. Think about this. If we were a cold-blooded animal and we ate 3 meals a day in the middle of winter here, come summertime, when your body temperature raises, every time the body temperature raises 10 degrees, they get to digest 4 times more food. 3 meals a day in the middle of winter, 164 meals during the summer. 1.75 million calories. I'm holding on to Larry's abdomen, his dorsal. I do not hold on to his tail. If Larry gets scared, agitated, nervous, thinks his life is threatened, he can actually senesce his tail, meaning his tail falls off. If his tail falls off, no longer connected to that central nervous system, He's going to sit on the floor, whacking around everywhere, spraying blood. Will that get the attention of a predator that's chasing him? Yes. He will be able to regenerate his tail. It will be significantly shorter and a lot darker. If I pull your arm off, you can't grow a new one. Now the backside, the dorsal of him, is not as brightly colored as the belly, the ventral side. In the rainforest, the top part of the leaves are not going to be as brightly colored as the bottom part. He has these weird, gangly limbs and these long toes. Larry's sitting high in the tree canopy. If a predator flies over the top, or you look here on the side, that's a form of mimicry. This is a marking on it that looks like the eye of another predator. So if Larry has a predator fly over the top and come near him, and he thinks he's in trouble, Larry will actually just jump out of the tree. He'll fall 50 feet through the tree canopy, grabbing at the vegetation with these nails, slowing his descent. He'll bounce off the ground after a 50-foot fall and run off into cover for no problem. Now, a green iguana is a cool herbivorous lizard. I do not recommend these as pets. These animals are going to get too big, too long-lived for most of you. You're looking at a creature that'll be 8 to 10 feet in length while they're full grown, and you're looking at 18 to 22 years in captivity. You get one now, you take care of it, you raise it through high school, then you go off to college. By your first fall break, your parents will be emailing me trying to get rid of an 8-foot-long herbivorous aggressive lizard because they don't want to take care of it anymore. These animals get too big, too long-lived for most of it to have. Now, when we're down there in Central and South America, the guacamole and the ceviche taste a lot better. Is it because we're on medication? Is it because the ingredients are fresher? No, there's iguana meat on it. In Central and South America, this is called chicken on a stick. If you ate chicken in Cancun and it didn't have any skin on it, you ate lizard. You take that green skin off, you're not going to know that's not a chicken leg unless you start counting the bones. Now these animals have actually been turned loose in places they do not belong. 2 new vocabulary words, exotic and invasive. Exotic is used to describe something that comes from a foreign land. For you to best understand the term invasive, answer these next questions. Raise your hand if you have a little brother or sister. Good. Hands down. Raise your hand if you remember a time before you had this little brother or sister. It was a half of your time, wasn't it? Little siblings are invasive creatures. They take resources away from you. Resources can be time with mom and dad, food at the dinner table, even Christmas presents. Listen, these exotic invasive lizards have been turned loose to Puerto Rico, Florida, islands throughout Central and South America, where they do not belong, and they are wreaking havoc on their natural world. Larry was donated by a family that was raising him incorrectly, feeding him a diet of only salad grease, and they had just a normal incandescent bulb. These animals here need a UVA, UVB light bulb to process calcium for his body. Very beautiful, brightly colored lizard. Think about the purse out of that belly skin right there. Gorgeous. Now, here's the head. We're going to put Larry up. We're going to get out our next animal. Now, remember your rules for me. This next animal has a little bit of what I call the O factor. Meaning, whenever I get this out, students, parents, grandparents, teachers always have a tendency to make noises. I hate that. So, bottoms on your seats, backs against your chairs, feet flat on the floor on still, mouths closed, ears open. This animal here definitely has that O factor. And if you all are good for me with this animal, I have a little bit of a treat for you. So make sure you remember to be nice and quiet. Now, I'd like you all to meet Scarlett. Say hi, Scarlett.
Hi, Scarlett.
Now, would you describe Scarlett as a decent-sized snake? Yes, this is decent. I have much larger ones. Now, when we look at Scarlett here, Scarlett is a 24-year-old red-tailed boa constrictor. Second donation animal to us. She was donated to us by her original owner. Her original owner lived in Southern California where the red-tailed boas give birth to live young. She had her since she was a 6-week-old baby. She let her live in the sunroom at her home in Southern California. Then work changed, and she had to move from Southern California to Middle Tennessee. The climate changes a little bit there. Scarlett had to be moved to the second-story guest room closet, and they did not give her enough heat. She was donated to me a year ago. I thought I was going to have to euthanize her. This animal had the worst respiratory infection I've ever seen. Worse than snot-nosed elementary students. Mucus running out of her nose, hocking loogies on the wall. We had to give her 2 rounds of antibiotics, increase the heat up to 115 degrees Fahrenheit, and drop the relative humidity down. We dried up the infection. Now she's still underweight. The lady was also feeding live rats. You notice on Scarlett's nose, she's going to have a scratch. She has a few marks down here still on the body. She was so cold in that closet that she couldn't protect herself. Not only was she not feeding on the rats actually started biting and feeding off of her. Now, since you've been with us, we cleared up that respiratory infection. I've also trained her to eat pre-killed, frozen, thawed prey. I never feed live to anything of mine.
Daddy.
Now, we're going to see how bright my Macon County people can be. You ready? If you answer this question honestly, I will not aggravate you for the rest of the night. Tell me, by raise your hand, what is the main difference between a snake and a lizard? What do lizards have that snakes don't? You want to try? No?
Legs.
Legs. Lizards have legs, snakes don't. The most common answer, and she's wrong. Not all lizards have legs. We have a legless lizard that lives right here in Tennessee. The difference between snakes and lizards come down to 2 important characteristics. We're going to use our fine gentleman right here as an example. Because if we lose one of you, it's not that big of a deal. You guys make me more for next year. Now, I'm going to take my finger. Watch. Oh, you got a piece of stuff in your mouth, honey. I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to touch Scarlett's eyeball. Can she blink? No. Can I poke your eye? You'll blink. Snakes do not have eyelids. Lizards do. If you ever have a snake look at you and it blinks, take its picture. They're not that common anymore. That is the first of 2 differences. The second difference, this is important for anybody that's a little snake phobic. Eyes on me. I can get as loud as I want. Does she freak out? No. Snakes do not have
Ears.
ears. Think about this. If you walk outside your house, you see a snake on the ground, you don't want to get closer to it, you think screaming and hollering like a little girl is going to do you any good? No, they can't hear you. Let's do a snake selfie. Tell Frank we'll call him back. Now, snakes do not have eyelids, nor do they have ears. Lizards do. Now, the entire time we've had Scarlett out, has she freaked out, got nervous or anything? No. All she's been doing the entire time we've had her out is sticking out her tongue. Why do snakes stick out the tongue? What is the purpose? No. What's she doing? Good guess. You got 5 senses on your body. You see with your eyes. You hear with your ears. You smell with your nose. You touch with your skin. What sense is your tongue used for? She's tasting. Tasting here looking for food. Let's do an experiment. Underneath the black tablecloth, I have a surprise for you. Stick your tongue out at it. Can you taste the chocolate chip cookies I brought for you? No, that didn't bring me. It's a joke. Snakes take their tongue, flick it through the air. They then pick up scent particles. They pull that scent-laden particle tongue to the inside of their body, and on the roof of their mouth there's a hole called the Jacobson's organ. They stick their tongue right in there. It's right below the brain. The brain then processes all the scent particles, telling their body, yep, I taste food right in front of me. Everybody raise your hand. That's the rest of We're all going to watch her eat now. How's those lips? Once you get out there, stay scared, flicking that tongue. Breathe. You pass out. I got to set her on you. Now, when you look at Scarlett here, you got to understand, this is a large, heavy-bodied snake. It's not as large as they get, but this is still a beautiful camouflage pattern for them. Now, the difference between snakes and lizards comes down to eyelids and ears. The difference between venomous, dangerous snakes. When I was your age, I was taught you had to look at the shape of the head and the pattern of the body. We were taught wrong. The only way to identify a venomous snake here in this part of North America, do an experiment, identify the center part of your neighbor's eye. What do we call it? The center part of the eye? No. Pupil. What is the shape of your neighbor's pupil? See, if you give me a right answer, I'd stop aggravating. That's my finger, relax. What is the shape of her pupil? Round's not a shape. Circle. Look at Scarlett's with me. You're fine. I'll get it in the bifocal range. Just tell me where to go. No, you can't see that part. Is her pupil a circle? Is it round? No. What's it look like? It's an oval. Very good. You helped her. It's a good thing you're helping her team. Relax. You're very tense. If you are here in North America, you're worried about a snake being venomous, the only way you can tell is to look at the pupil. If the pupil is circle, round like ours, you're looking at a non-venomous snake. If you look at a snake and the pupil is an oval, looks like a football, you're looking at a venomous snake. I know what y'all are thinking. You're going, Bob, whenever I see a snake, I don't get close enough to look at the pupil. I get as close as the garden hoe gets. It is illegal in the state of Tennessee to kill a snake, whether it is venomous or not. And I know you never break the law. And I would never kill a snake even if it was a venomous snake, because all these animals want to do is eat mice, moles, voles, and rats. Good thing or bad thing? Good thing. 3 different categories. The longest snake known to man is actually the reticulated python. The reticulated python that we have on record is over 36 feet length. That's over here to the table. Now, the heaviest snake known to man in the wild is the green anaconda. The green anaconda can be found living in the rainforest, Central and South America. Raise your hand if you like my job. Good. Hands down. Raise your hand if you want to get a job like mine. Good. Pay attention. Listen. We have to do the picture of him sleeping and show it to him when he wakes up. Now, what you got to do to get a job like mine, you have to do well in school. You have to do well in school to go to high school. High school, you got to work hard to go to college. In college, you have to work extremely hard to get a job that you're never going to make a lot of money. Most importantly, you cannot get in trouble for drugs or alcohol. Number 1, these not lead to anything good in life. Number 2, if you do get in trouble for it, you'll not be able to have the permit to have these animals do this job. I love my job. It's a great job. Everybody thinks that teaching little ones is the best part of my job. It's not. I enjoy it, it's just not the best part. Some people think it's raised animals. Think of everything I've brought you. How many of y'all remember Bebop the Bobcat from years ago? Good. How many of y'all remember Elliot, our eagle owl? Good. I love raised animals. That's still not the best part. Listen, the best part of our job is every day I get paid to aggravate principals, teachers, librarians. Unfortunately, our brand spanking new principal is absent right now, so we get to use Miss Rhonda here as an example for students staying in school, staying out of trouble with drugs and alcohol, because there you go. Oh. And when the tail goes around her bottom, her eyes are really going to get How long should we let her stay there? Should I just get the next animal? Stop using the grandson. I'm going to get you. Come back. Now, when we think about these creatures here, why would you lose me stop working? She's not even talking right now. She's going ultrasonic. Now, when we think about this, you gotta understand, Scarlett is a big predator. But what is really important about these big predators here is the food they eat. In Central and South America, where this animal lives, they eat the largest rodent on the planet, the capybara. Imagine a guinea pig that reaches up to 350 pounds. Same thing happens right here in this part of the world. Here, the timber rattler snake is my favorite snake we have in the state. He is a very gentleman of a snake. He will warn you that he's going to pick a fight if you start poking at him. Most of the time he'll avoid you. But what happens is people will kill these snakes because they think they're bad. It is illegal. More importantly, the timber rattler is actually a bigger, heavy-bodied snake than your average one, and they like to eat bigger rodents. When we protect the timber rattler, when we protect the habitat, educate the public, when we see an increase in the timber rattler snake populations, we will see a decrease in tick-borne diseases with humans. We need these animals to live around. I want you all to think about this. As a science club here, we have a foster care program. How many of y'all think Miss Rhonda should foster our 200-pound Burmese pythons? That would be great. Any student that gets in trouble for their classwork has to go in a snake box. Any parents that is annoyed, you've got to go in a snake box. We're going to fix your behavior pretty quickly. Yeah. Give her a one hand, please. Now, we get out the next animal. The next animal is my least favorite creature I have to program. This next animal is the one that consistently draws more blood off of me more frequently than anything I've ever had. So you must behave. I want bottoms on your seat, backs against your chairs, feet flat on the floor, or still. Catch a bubble in your mouth. One finger on your lip, the other hand on your hip. We want to be nice and quiet so we can see. If you are not nice and quiet, you will be told to leave the auditorium. Now, this animal here is the third programming animal that has been donated to us. I'd like you all to meet Rainbow. Say hi, Rainbow. Hi, Rainbow. Zip it. I'm talking through when you interrupt me. Now, catch a bubble. Rainbow is zip bird. Stop laughing at me. Rainbow is a yellow-naped green Amazon parrot. I cannot tell you if he is a boy or a girl. I cannot tell you if he's 2 or if he's 80. I can tell you if you want a parrot for a pet, don't! If a child instead, wait to be married first though. If you want to have a parrot for a pet, you need to be ready for a 20, 30, 40, 60, 80-year relationship. When you have a child, you're supposed to be responsible for what? 18 years? My husband and wife in Middle Tennessee. I will not mention their names because I do not speak very well of them. The husband was a pilot and would spend long periods of time away from home. The wife was crazy. She bought this animal to keep her company in her big, expensive home. She didn't raise him right. She spoiled him. Or an all-true Southerner term that I've learned, she rumped him. I don't know how y'all spell it, but it's a good word. Rainbow was allowed to do whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted to do it. He walked around the house, pooped everywhere. He'd climb up on the dining room table, eating food off of her plate. She took showers with him. Rainbow started thinking they were in a more committed relationship than what she should have allowed. Rainbow thought they were a breeding pair. Whenever the husband would come home, Rainbow became aggressive, if not violent, towards him, so much to the point that they have now gotten divorced, and I'm stuck with a psychotic green bird. Parrot on a good day is basically a bipolar 4-year-old. Rainbow has actually a much worse story. And I'm not belittling or making fun of anything, you just have to understand this animal's mental state. This is a bipolar 4-year-old that's unmedicated, that's been bounced around in the foster care system. I know for a fact I'm at least his 4th home. Now that's not his fault, he's crazy. This animal here doesn't know he's a bird. More than likely, Rainbow was captured illegally from the wild as a baby. When he was days old, someone pulled him out of the tree. He sold him for about $15 to $30. As this animal made the journey from Central and South America, the price got higher and higher. By the time he got to North America, he was worth thousands of dollars. Most people do not have that kind of capital to spend on a pet till later in their life. Rainbow's first home had to be an elderly couple because of the way he talks, the way he mimics human speech. If Rainbow hears the telephone ring, he answers it just like a little old lady. Hello? Every couple days, he looks right at me and yells, "Get out of my yard!" While we walk around our farm doing chores, Rainbow says inappropriate things to the other end. How would you think? Bebop the bobcat is a wee bit bigger now. And whenever Rainbow sees Bebop, he always goes, "Come here." Trust me, Bebop would love him to come here so he can play with him. Now, Rainbow's wings are clipped, he cannot fly, we found lazy to do it anyway. The next time we take him into the vet, we're going to trim his beak, trim his nails, trim his wing. We look like a blood test. We'll send it off to get DNA. there is no sexual dimorphism, meaning there's no way to tell physically if this is a male or a female. You gotta look at the blood work. There's no way to tell his age. I'm enough of a scientist. I'd cut off his head and count the rings like a tree, and that'd give me his age. I don't like it. This animal was supposed to be a load. And since that time, the husband and wife have got divorced and they've left the state. Now I'm stuck with them. Now, what you gotta understand is these animals form huge social groups. They mate for life. They're more monogamous than humans. And that's where this bird has problems. He doesn't know he's a bird. I've heard him bark like one of my dogs. I've seen him hop around like our kangaroo. He doesn't know what he is. Boys and girls, we have you in an institution. We call it school. You're in an institution. We want you to go to bed on time. We want you to eat well, exercise. Get off of the electronics. Do not get into drugs or alcohol. Your brains are forming pathways where you learn and process information for the rest of your life. Damage you cause your brain now is irreversible. As old people, our brains are already starting to shut down. The muscles that are surviving. Stop talking to them. What you gotta think about here is you little one. We have to protect your brain for it. This animal here has damage because it was raised in a beautiful bird, wonderful coloration of black. We're gonna let the psychotic green bird stay out. He tends to talk a lot more during the program when he's not on my arm. We don't like each other. I don't like him because he's crazy and he bites me. He doesn't like me because there's rules in my house that you follow. Now, we're gonna let Rainbow stay out. We're gonna feed him a little bit of some dinner. At the end of the program, if we have a little bit of time, we'll have to see how many of you women remember the lost art of flirting. It's been a while, I know. Bless your heart. Now, we're gonna keep Rainbow out. If he does start talking, I want you to listen to it, but just don't laugh too much. You can't hear the words coming out of my mouth, and when you laugh at him, he thinks you're funnier than me, and I can't handle it. Now, the last creature is an animal that will be walking around on the stage, walking around on the floor with me, walking around on me. Are students ever allowed to pet my animals? No. You want to know why? You're the most diseased, dangerous wildlife in the state. Wash your hands, you're filthy. Serious, don't touch them. This is creepy. Now, this next animal here, like I said, will be walking around. I want you all to be able to see it, but you have to remember your rules. Plant your bottoms in your seat, backs against your chairs, mouths closed, ears open. Save your questions. If you have an answer to mine, you can raise your hand. This animal is different because this is one that I have raised in my home. It's part of our family. Certainly not a pet, but it is definitely something that does not have the mental or physical problems that the other exhibits have had. Listen. I want you all to meet Callie. Say hi, Callie. Hi. Now, Callie here is a very interesting little creature. Now, some people think she looks a little bit like a monkey. Some people think she looks a little bit like a lemur. Some people think she looks like a mongoose. Some people see anteater. She's actually none of these. Hold on, honey. Callie is, open your ears, a white-nosed Coatimundi. It is spelled C-O-A-T-I-M-U-N-D-I. We call it Coati for short. Let's put that for the stage right now. Now, when we look at her, you can see she's got some amazing anatomy for herself. She has a very long nose, giving her a good sense of smell. 2 eyes on the front of her head. That means she eats things that she's going to chase down. Wonderful ears to be able to hear. She has amazingly sensitive hair. Now, when we look at Callie here, she should remind you of a very common Tennessee animal. Name me the state mammal of Tennessee. Go. The raccoon, very good. Don't touch him, he's filthy. Callie is actually very closely related to our raccoons. Now, our raccoons are doing what during the day? What do our raccoons do during the day? They're sleeping. What do our raccoons do at night? Hunting, looking for food. Now, when we look at Callie here, you gotta understand, this animal is different than our raccoon. good. She's going to be awake during daylight hours. Now, the funny thing about the Coatimundi is they're very sociable. That makes them a very interesting animal. Now, like the raccoon and us, we have a different consumer than anything we've had tonight. Raise your hand if you like to eat hamburgers and hot dogs. Good. Raise your hand if you should eat fruits and vegetables. Good. What do we call the consumer that eats plant-material meat? Very good. Omnivore. Callie is a prime example of an omnivore. Now she's about 6 months grown. She's about half grown in size. Females will get to be about 8 to 15 pounds. Males will weigh up to 35. Now that little nose gives her a good sense of smell. But the cool thing about that tail, it's not used as another hand. It is not free head side. She uses it for balance. Think of a squirrel climbing through the trees. The tail will be used for balance, helping them when they jump around. Anybody else, and she's one of my bottle babies. She thinks of me as her parent. That's very common behavior, what she did right there. In the wild, parrots regurgitate food, meaning the parents vomit in their mouth and the babies eat it. She just checks me every day. Don't give me that face. You kiss these children here. Don't get in her purse. As weird as you think I am, I have never vomited up lunch for her to eat out of my mouth. She just checks me for it. Cleaner than all of you, I have never gotten germs from any of my animals. Now, sit her. Now, with Callie here, we have removed her claws. Just like with a puppy, you can remove the dew claws when they're very young without any problem. Now, what you gotta understand is the dew claws and the canines will get too large. Do not go through her first. Now, you will get 3-inch claws, digging claws for an adult, and we removed them when she's young, but we have also removed her baby canines. Canines can actually get to be over 1.5 inches in length, and when they're becoming adult, they will be over 2 inches. It's going to help right for you. Unfortunately, it's already turning into be a 16-hour day. I still got to drive home yet. So if you have any questions, I want you to ask the teachers if you're in school. Any of you can pull us up online. You can find us from there. But I want you to think about it. Any Facebookers, fan the company. That'll let you know when we come around and we do more programs. These programs, we don't publish it to the public. I want this to be a private event for you. Now, they open it up here. But you can come see us at the libraries during the summer. Any Facebookers, fan the company, that'll tell you when we do state parks as well. You guys have been great. I'm proud of you. Attendance is growing every year. Again, if you like the program and you can spare a little bit, we'll collect donations back at the door. Let's keep the science stuff flowing here for the next County Senior High. Rhonda's got a cricket in her hair. Now, you all have done great. I'm proud of you. Give yourself one big last round of applause.